Yeah, everyone. So I welcome you all for this wonderful webinar session that we have on the topic of social innovations. We have a speaker here, Mr. Vishal Thakur, who is also a seasoned leader with a passion of using technology to drive social change. He has an experience of more than like 22 plus years in IT leadership and sale across the globe. Within like he's also having an MBA, executive MBA from IIM Calcutta. As the head of Tech for Good at NASCOM Foundation, Vishal sir is also dedicated to in expanding the growth of the community sector in India through the use of custom-made apps and digital processes. Uh, Mr. Vishal has also worked for like 12 plus countries across the globe. He's currently leads the several programs of NASCOM and NASCOM Foundation, where like SIFI, the Social Innovation Youth for Youth, is also one of the team that he heads to. So, and also he's a co-founder of Aska Class USA-based startup, his own startup platform for non-resident Indian around the globe to collaborate through language, culture, and heritage. He's also a co-founder of Vedic Hindi School USA, which based out of USA, which aims to preserve and promote the Hindi language and culture. He has operated in 12 countries, including the US, Canada, UK, Europe, South America, and Asia. With over a decade of experience in technology industry, Vishal is also having deep understanding of the power of innovation and collaboration in driving positive social impact. So through his work at NASCOM Foundation and his various entrepreneurial ventures, Vishal has also become a leading voice in social entrepreneurship space. So today we will be witnessing him talking about on the topic of social innovations. So I welcome you, Vishal. Thank you so much for your time. And I request everyone to please kindly switch on your cameras and make it more of an interactive session. Over to you, Vishal, sir. Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, thanks, Saurabh. Thanks, everyone. So uh, let me share before sharing. I see the ideas which you people have submitted Tech for Change program. Um, so I am hopeful that you are excited about this program and then the idea which you wanted to build, and you never know, it might become a good and a big company at some point of it, right? That's what we are looking for. Um, so before we get started, is there questions on your mind? Is there anything related to my introduction or uh, anything which is you have in your mind in terms of entrepreneurship, social innovation, even normal startup, or even going for a job interview or anything? Because I have done all of this. I have crossed through all of these phases. I did a master's in computer application myself, and that's where I started my journey. So you guys can post those questions, or if you wanna take a uh, out of mute and then wanna ask, then we can get started from there. If not, then I'll be asking you questions. I don't worry, I'll just share the text. Everybody can see it.
Not yet, sir, I guess.
Not yet. Can you see it now or no? Not yet.
Not yet, sir.
Just hold on. Let me try. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah, yes. Now it is visible, sir.
Okay. So, as Saurav introduced, I come from a tech industry. I was um, uh, I did my master's in computers application, then get onto a job, worked on the coding, program management, sales. Eventually, from last 10, 15 years, I was doing the tech sales in US. Um, Shifted to India 2 years back, and then started working with NGOs, primarily right now focusing on the social innovation and technology-based work in a social sector. That's where I'm more focused right now. And meanwhile, I also kind of work on my startup, and and they both are running as of now, a company. So I have kind of all kind of experience, you can say, right? Starting from getting into a job to working within the companies, and then having my own startup as well, and now kind of working with NGOs and trying to work more or less. I work in all geographies except Australia um, side. So if you have any questions or anything regarding um, which is not this but related to career or any company and the work, then we can talk about that. Um, Otherwise, let me get started on social innovation, right? I think social innovation um, itself is a kind of it's a very old term, but not being majorly practiced or not being kind of used too much in details, right? When we talk about social changes, then there are standard um, way the work is being done in NGOs, right? And then there are startups who kind of work on ideas to create more profits, and to reach out to larger audience, and that's what the core commercial angle we always keep on when we talk about building a startup, right? Then comes a social entrepreneurship. That's where basically when you try to build your idea or a company, then you would more focus on how you can not only build a product or a company to um, make money out of it, but also to see how you can create a social impact also, um, and try to balance out between the profit and the impact which you wanted to create. So that is basically a social entrepreneurship, right? And that's this Tech for Change program is primarily focusing on creating more social entrepreneurs, right? Who can who can look at the social problem, try to put a technology and innovation thinking, and try to build a product or a solution or a services, and um, you all of you will be seeing yourself as an entrepreneur end of the program. Then it is up to you how you want to take the journey. You want to take it and scale it up and convert it into a company, or you wanted to kind of run it for some time, or you wanted to go back to the corporate life. We want all of you to become entrepreneur, rather a social entrepreneur, so that you can give a jobs rather than going out and looking for a job. Um, then comes social innovation, which is over and beyond social entrepreneurship. Right? In a social entrepreneurship, you look at the problem statement and try to build a pointed solution to it, right? Which can eventually become a product, or it become a company at some point of time. When it comes to social innovation, it is like largely looking at the problem statement, which is in a complex layer, where you try to work with the multiple agencies to kind of try to put together a solution to that. These are the problems which cannot be solved through a traditional method, right? That's where it requires um, differently thinking. It require maybe building a different kind of a solution or a product or a unique product or something which is don't exist as of now. And then you try to work with a multiple people and agency, right? And that's how it works, right? If you see a cartoon in a center, right, means this was talking about which is a general standard way, right? When people say that I'm working on innovation, and they when they put together something, then you most of the time hear, this is means is there anybody else is doing it, or what is the reference point, right? And when you are getting into entrepreneurship, always remember there might not be a reference point, because and that's why you see that as an problem, and you started putting a solution around it or a services around it. So basically, if something is being done already like that, then what is that you are building new, right? Are you going and building something on a cheaper price, better services, or altogether a kind of new product? So all of that is basically will be require innovation thinking. All of that would be required um, kind of the way you think little differently. And when you put a social angle onto it, and when you try to look at the problem its statement in a larger arena, that's where the social innovation piece comes in. And that's what social innovation is important. That's the reason when ideas and the students are coming into this cohort, we want them to know a little bit more about this space of social innovation, social entrepreneurship, SDG-based problem statements, or the real problems which require a solution. So when you are kind of working on your ideas during this program, you would be going through a different phases, and you would be building a prototype, and you would be interacting with the different mentors and all. You should keep that in your mind, right? That you are getting into which space you are getting into, and what is that is being done in that space, and how to work. So we all can give you a bit of guidance. Eventually, you need to comprehend everything what you would be going through a different mentors and people, and then you try to put that into your solution. So I'll um, so these are different questions, right? When it comes to social innovation, and you will find out very less people talking about it. You will find very less material, um, even though it is an old term. But the implementing it, practicing it, and putting that into a systematic change, it takes time. It requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of stakeholders to come together and start working on it, and get this space rolling. That's the reason you see less of it. But it is a growing arena. This is where basically when you talk about SDGs, when you talk about environment related issues, when you talk about climate change, when you talk about the problems which are persistent from a very long time, it require a different way of thinking, and that's where the social innovation concept comes in. You know. Now, I told you about why. So let's talk about why do we need a social innovation. As I said, right, there are, if you look at NGOs or the commercial solution companies or the startups, right, they try to work on certain aspects of a problem, which is if you are a very typical way of thinking a startup, and a kind of making a more margin and providing a certain services, you don't think about the social arena of it, or is that solution is focusing on a marginalized community, tier two cities, villages, or what is that solution is talking about, right? So there are certain set of problems pre which persist for a very long time, and NGO is trying to solve it. Some commercial startups are trying to solve as certain aspects of it, but when we say social innovation, so there are those problems can be only be addressed through a social innovation, because it requires different kind of thinking, it requires different kind of stakeholders to come along, it requires innovation, it requires technology intervention. That's why all of you who are taking a social problem statement and try to build a startup around it, you all need to understand that this space is what it takes to build something in this space, right? Is it a social entrepreneurship? Yes, social entrepreneurship will be a one part of it, right? But then this space is bigger than that, right? You are working in this Tech for Change cohort, you would be ideating, you would be going deep into your problem statement, you would be building a prototype. You would end of this program, you would be seeing a sort of a prototype product in your hand, and you will be seeing yourself standing on um, a starting point of entrepreneurship, I can say, right? Then you can carry on that journey and then basically take it forward. Or you can use the knowledge which you have gained maybe to build something else, or maybe seeing how you can help out any corporate through that, or any other agency through that. Right? Um, so that's where the difference between a social innovation and the entrepreneurship is, right? Um, this is a very static question. What is the innovation, right? And if if I will um, ask maybe this group, what do you guys think? What is innovation? Just to make sure that everybody is awake and you guys are listening. So if you wanna answer it through a chat and don't go to internet or a chat GPT or anything.
So we have a raised hand from Yash. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
please.
So I think innovation is something that solves the problem.
Okay.
Yes,
Anybody
like
else?
our innovation can help someone. It solves their problem and उनको डे टू डे लाइफ में आसानी हो.
Okay. और कोई? Adrika.
Yes, sir. So I recently joined it. I was
Okay.
disconnected between, so I don't know what's going on right now. If you
Okay.
can give me a little brief, I
So
can like
yes. So I think the
yes.
question is, what do you think innovation? What is when you heard the word innovation? What do you understand about it? How do you take it?
Innovation. Okay. Innovation is some innovation to me is like something new. Uh, Not necessarily the concept is new. The way you are doing it maybe new. It's all about like problem solving. Uh, yeah, that's it.
Any other thoughts?
Oh, are you asking to me or like people
No,
else?
if anybody else wanted to
Yeah, yeah.
share any thought on innovation.
Anybody else who would like to answer to this particular question? That what comes in your mind when you like think of or hear of innovation?
So I think the part of it, as Adrika said, right? It is not about creating something new. It's about, are you doing something differently, right? Means if you take a very basics understanding, right? Not I'm going to give you a fancy words, and I just want you to be realistically understanding everything so that you can use that thought process or those things in your real life and understand it, right? It's doing something differently, right? Now you can do things differently in a couple of areas. Like if you define some process to be new, maybe today delivery apps are delivering something to the end user, right? Maybe you come out with a process of how it is getting delivered differently, right? So that's a process innovation, right? Maybe you can come out with a altogether. We were working with another socialist startup and the program is a student-based startup. We helped out, and they are right now doing good. They come out with a breathing device, which is basically can help out in a remote areas, in a rural areas, and it works on the internet, and it is a cheap and very accurate. It can give you um, the data right there in a on a phone, and it can send out an email of entire report. So that's basically a product innovation, right? They come out with a new product, right, altogether, right? When you work on any startup or any you try to build a company, either you are doing a product or a services, or you are kind of doing a combination of both. That's how you basically get into this space, right? um, Innovation, and then the social innovation, as name suggests, right? It would be like, are you trying to solve a social problem? Is there multiple stakeholders involved? Are you trying to work through a systematic approach? It might take slow path, but then you might need to take it. How big impact are you going to create? But um, more or less, if you are into this social entrepreneurship space, then you need to know that the thing which you are trying to build, it might take a bit time. It might not be You might not be getting into this just because you wanted to. Only focus cannot be only making money and making the profits high. That's where the social entrepreneurship is different than the commercial entrepreneurship. You would be trying to balance out the impact versus the money you are going to make, or the solution which you are building. So the impact has to be as a part of core thinking while you are building it. Design thinking have to be there when you are systematically getting into this space. um, so these are couple of things which you should be kind of um, knowing, because you would be getting into a different areas of building a solution. That's the reason I was just sharing this. But if all of you have submitted your ideas, right? If some of you wanted to talk about your ideas, then we can take that as a reference point as we move into this for next couple of minutes. But do anybody wanted to share their ideas?
If Adrika, Chrisman,
I yeah
Yash Kumar,
yeah, yeah
yeah,
I can
please.
start.
Sure, sure,
So
sure.
so
Yeah.
we are basically working on making
Yes, sure.
modern farming accessible in India, and the reason behind why we are doing this, like 55% of the population in India is dependent on agriculture for their livelihood, and like 80% of the farmers are small and marginals. So talking about these farmers, like if they're devoid of the modern farming, that's like all about organic farming, less water and more produce. I think that's not completely fair. If we can make modern farming accessible to them, I think India will like boom itself into a new era of modern farming. Yeah.
Great, great thinking. Is there anyone else wanted to share their ideas?
Chrisman.
Why everybody is not on video? What's the reason? Yes, yes.
Sir, we are making a platform for college students where they can see all the events that are happening in college, like all the hackathons and the कॉलेज कॉम्पिटिशन्स लाइक जब भी कोई नया बच्चा कॉलेज में आता है तो उसको पता नहीं होता है क्या करना है, तो वो अपने सीनियर से इंटरेक्ट करने की कोशिश करता है। तो ऐसे में उसको बहुत सारे मतलब डिपेंड करता है कि वो किस संगत में जाते हैं। तो बेसिकली स्टूडेंट्स को पता नहीं होता है कि कहाँ पे जाएं, तो वो ज़्यादातर लिंक्डइन या रेडिट या इंस्टाग्राम के थ्रू कनेक्ट करते हैं, क्योंकि एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म कोई है नहीं जहाँ पे आपस में स्टूडेंट्स कनेक्ट कर सकें अच्छे से। तो एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बना रहे हैं जिस पे सारे कॉलेज के बच्चे कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं, और जो जितने भी इवेंट्स कॉम्पिटिशन हैकाथॉन्स जितने भी सब होते हैं वो वहाँ से रजिस्टर भी कर सकते हैं और अपने सीनियर से कनेक्ट भी कर सकते हैं।
Okay. Okay. Anything? Anybody else? Somehow joined new, right?
Yeah,
Recently
Samba.
joined.
Samba also like wanted to speak. Chrisman, if you would like to share your startup idea.
Yes, Abhay, go ahead. Your voice is not coming through. So, um, as you said, right, you were trying to, Adrika is trying to work on this kind of a problem statement where farmers needs to be aware of the latest technology, latest development, so that that can be utilized in the farming. And another solution we heard is right, you know, college communication and engagement, which can help out um, um, to kind of get a authentic information, true information rather than a misleading one. So these are like very initial thinking you have right now. It's going to take a whole cycle to kind of develop it and get onto a different zone in terms of understanding. And let me share my experience, right? Since I built my own two startups in US, and those more are touching social side of the world, right? So when we were, I lived there for 18, 20 years. And then, all the people who've been migrated through tech outside India, right? They all were more or less having the same issue when with their kids are growing. They don't know about Indian culture. They don't know about Indian language. They don't know about their heritage, right? They grew up in that environment. So they know more about that country and that arena rather than knowing something about their roots, right? And then the fear of the parents and the community is that they would be disconnected at some point of time, right? With that, and when you go in a regular schools, right, um, the foreign languages are given as an options of French, Spanish, and all those kind of options, right? No Indian language was given at that point of time for school children to kind of opt any Indian languages, even though Indian diaspora is so big around the globe, right? Which has been shifted from India in last 20 years through IT, right? So when I was looking at the problem, I was looking at the problem for my kids, right? That I thought, they should know Hindi and they should be knowing about our religion, our roots, and all, right? Then I realized that why it is only my problem. It might be a problem what I am facing. There might be other parents also, right, who must be facing this problem, and they might be living in any other country, and they might be facing a similar thing, right? So then we started kind of calculating as to what is the market size. Okay, market size in terms of how many parents has been settled outside, right, in last 10 years, right? And then, then we started identifying how big is the problem statement, right? With that thought process. Then we realize it's a good big enough population. Even you cut down certain set of population that they settle, their kids are grown, so they are out of it. Then you cut down that, some of them might not be even interested, right? Then with India, there is a complex problem is that all of all of them might not be coming out from a Hindi background. They might be coming out from South. They might like to do Telugu, Tamil, you know. Then problem become even more complex, right? And then the thing is, when you go to the school district, when we check, why you are not teaching Indian languages when you have so much Indian population out there, Indian students are coming out there. They said nobody has worked on structured way of teaching it, right? Yes, their languages have been taught at home. They go to their next door auntie or in a mandirs and all, but there is no certified curriculum, or there is the French, Spanish, and all of that is being taught here as an how to teach as a foreign language, right? So they follow that standard, but nobody has worked on it. Then we find out another issue, which is complementing it, that the course curriculum have to be designed in that way. So when you get into your problems, right, then you started realizing that problem is even bigger, and it is a multifold problem. It is a multifaceted problem, right? Then then we figure out that we are not only solving uh, uh, who to teach, that we gathered that information, but then what to teach is also a problem here, right? And then making it to the standard, that itself is a problem. So then we started working with the community. Then we started reaching out to the colleges, right? Because eventually, when you are coming out from school, you would be going to college, right? If you don't see a path for yourself, college and the post that, if you don't see a career option, you probably might not take those things, right? So when we reach out to Cambridge University, Austin University, New York University, and all of that, they have an Asian languages department, right? And what we came to know is that um, students who are coming from school, they are not taking Indian languages because nobody have exposed them initial years, right? So then suddenly taking that language option in a college is almost impossible for them. And hence, those departments itself were suffering, that there are no students who are taking it, or there are very less students, and they are only coming for a credit for a 1 year and then they go away, right? So and so we realize that they have a bigger problem than us. But the point is, we find out that it would be a very interesting for them to come along with us, because eventually we will be creating a pipeline for them. If we teach more student, and we create more student, then we find out a partner, right? Um, so uh, so basically, all of this journey I am telling you because this is more social innovation. We knew it that you cannot make a multi-million company when you are creating something like this by teaching certain languages and all, and that was not a core idea. Also, we wanted to create an impact. We wanted to um, do certain things which can help out um, a population at large, right? So the core idea, and that's the reason I'm saying if you are participating in a Tech for Change program, this platform we have created to create more social entrepreneurs rather than the commercial startups. So basically, it's not like you cannot make money. You will be making money, but the core thinking have to be creating impact on a larger audience, right? So then we started kind of working with universities, started engaging certain community, started developing curriculum. Within 3 years, we created not only created a curriculum, we get our school accredited as an overall school, and that accreditation helped us for our students who are studying with us to get a credit in a normal school um, area, right? And then we started reaching out to different school districts to tell them that we have standard curriculum, we are accredited, can your student join it and they can get a benefit out of it. They can get a credit for studying a Hindi language or Indian languages with us. And that opens up and spreading us into entire US, right? So it was a multifaceted problem. It took a couple of years to kind of go, but you need to be persistent. You need to follow it. And as I said, if it was more on the social entrepreneurship slash social innovation, because multiple agencies have to be involved in putting a solution into it. It was not only us who can put together a problem, a solution, right? We wanted accreditation agencies to be involved. We wanted school districts to be involved. We want community to be involved, right? So we used to. So it was not like you teach when we realized that if you wanted to really make it consumed and adopted by population, then you need to make it interesting enough. So basically, just teaching something and language, a lone language, it would be very monotonous and it would be of no interest of a kid if you just teach them, getting onto the classroom and just try to teach a language. They will just run away. And those kids have no interest they've been forced by their parents initially to kind of go, अरे अपने इंडिया का बच्चा है तो जाके तू सीख वहाँ पे, राइट. So it was like forceful, and we all knew कि बच्चों का कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है initially, but we need to create that interest, right. So द क्लासरूम वी रियलाइज कि लैंग्वेज को तुम खाली लैंग्वेज के तरीके से नहीं पढ़ा सकते, उसमें द मटेरियल हैज टू बी culture and heritage embedded, and it has to be very engaging content for them to come down to the classroom. And if you reverse that, whatever problems you guys are identifying, those are complex problems, right? To make it adopted, you need to find out an interesting way, right? To kind of take your, so that people can take your solutions or a prototype and give you at least a feedback back, right? So then what we did is, we created content, along with we created a certain events that if you read study something, then you need to perform it, and perform it in an interesting way, do it as skits, right, do it some activity based things, right, so that the classroom become interesting. Then we knew that only classroom cannot solve a problem. If kid is going back to home, and if he's shy in talking in a language, or going in a class in a normal school, and if he's talking in a Hindi and then somebody started laughing at it, then probably he might not be repeating it. So we need to create a community, right? So it means we need to gather certain set of similar set of students, give them an offline environment where they can comfortably practice this thing, or at least try to practice, or hang out in this environment, right, within that language. So then we started creating a small events, right, which can, all of these parents slash students can come out and hang out and talk about it, right, and that will give them a space to open up and say certain things, right, which kind of enabled that community. Next time से क्या होता था कि when they go out in any personal parties, right, where a lot of Indian families are coming in, some of the kids try to talk to each other in a Hindi, right? Maybe those Hindi words are not like using Hindi, they just use some fun words to kind of tease each other and all, but that open up, at least that initial fear कि मैं कुछ बोलूंगा और कोई हंसेगा तो नहीं, right? Then parents also started showing off, अरे मेरा बच्चा तो हिंदी स्कूल में जाता है, right? And he's learning this. और जो typical Indian families का होता है, बच्चे को बोलते हैं अरे बोल के सुनाओ बेटा. So that created an environment where, once एक के बच्चे ने करा तो फिर चार पेरेंट और बोले यार हमारे बच्चे को भी जाना चाहिए, right? At least he's doing something. So we created a awareness, and we created a kind of given that a environment, right? So all of this comes under the social entrepreneurship or the social innovation space, because you are then not only creating your product, right? Product तो हमने बना दिया था, books भी बना दी थी, books are available on Amazon, right? And classroom we have. But the point is, adoption भी तुम्हारी responsibility है. End of the day तुम जो भी बनाओगे और जो भी company create करोगे, you need to know how to solve each and every problem at every stage, right? Then we started, getting more students. Then we realized Hindi alone might not be helpful, right? Now we need to go and do more languages into it, so that when we go in a school, kids should choose any Indian language, right? And then that's how it can benefit all different type of parents, right? So this is it took us like 4 or 5 years. It's running still, but that's how the social and and enterprise and social innovation ka angle comes in, right? So it is multifaceted, multi problem. The problem cannot be solved by the traditional thing, right? Everything cannot be applied on social innovation, right? ऐसा नहीं है कि तुम हर चीज social innovation से ही solve कर सकते हो, लेकिन कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं जिसमें social innovation की जरूरत होती है, राइट, और वो उसी से सॉल्व हो सकती है. और कुछ चीजें ट्रेडिशनल तरीके से होती हैं. अगर तुम देखो कि पीपल आर ट्राइंग टू create financial literacy and numeracy का level up in a villages, right? कि बच्चों की जो education की quality है वो high होनी चाहिए. It's a very traditional way where somebody go teach there or remote teaching, or they kind of provide a certain tools and facilities and all, right? But then when you go out there and in a reality, you will see that they have a multifaceted problems. It's like if you don't address a health of a kid, probably you might not able to solve his education problem also, right? When you go and look at that arena or environment he's living in, then you try to figure out that there is another problem also. His parents don't have not only have money, they don't have an environment also, right? So none of those problem comes in a singular way, right? And that's the reason this when you get into a social entrepreneurship or rather any product building or idea building, right? You need to look at it on an entirety. That's why the initial phases of your identifying the problem, going in a detail of a problem, identifying the stakeholders, identifying your approach, and so it has to be very realistic. You need to yourself go see if that problem exists or not, then see that how big is the scale, right? And then see that how you can apply different structure to kind of take it forward. I'll take a pause here. Any question anybody has up till now? Not this in any thing related to um, entrepreneurship, building a company, building idea. Why? It's look like everybody is having an exam ka headache.
Yeah, so actually, like they have just started with their exams today. Like
Oh, is it?
it's yeah, from third, and it will be going till 10th, I guess. So most of
Oh,
them are like serious. So
so thanks for
like I
coming.
would just request students if you can just maybe switch on your cameras for a while. So yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
sir. Yeah, please.
Okay. So let me just share the further thing. Hey, Mohit, I see Sarthak. Everybody seems to be in a tension of exam. It's like, man, what are you talking about? I have exam to do. Okay. Hey, Vishal, let me just share a bit. Um, it might not be today, but maybe later on once exam finish and when you move forward, you will all remember all of this. And if even a part of it you remember, then itself is good enough, and I'm done with my job. So these are some successful social innovations, and you can, whenever you get a time, you can do a bit of research of it and then study. But I think everybody might have heard about Grameen Bank, Mohammad Yunus, right? He is a well-renowned personality in the social space, right? He's the one who started that microfinance in Bangladesh, and that bank become a bigger bank. And this is all the awards and acknowledgement. And if you look at that process and then the things which has been created, that's a social innovation biggest example, right? Where community work together, multifacets, multiple people come together. There is innovation also. There are multiple engagement also. All the stakeholders. There is a core thinking. So these are some successful one which has become like huge right now. Working as an biggest enterprise in the social space, impacting um, millions of population. You can do a better research when you kind of go out from here, right? I'll just go a bit more on detail, right? Innovation, definition of a social innovation, right? Um, as it goes, there are multiple innovation definitions, right? Social innovation definitions which are available. So I just try to put some of it, which is kind of can help you out in understanding this better. Um, so it's you can see that as in the second one, which is a connected difference, right? It can be a new combination or hybrid of an existing element rather than completely building something new, right? Um, And this social innovation practice, as I said, it is multiple agencies and multiple organizations which would be kind of getting into it, right? There will be um, uh, a new relationship and individuals and groups all coming together. Let me give you another our real life example. I'll just take this one off and kind of talk to you about that one. So we were, as I was saying, right, we built a one of our student startup in a previous cohort. They built a solution for a breathing device, and we went to kind of see where they are implementing it. In Rajasthan, there is a place where most of the miners do. They cut those stones and they devise certain things, certain um, sculptures, and then they kind of do a mining, and then it goes out in further states and all. So the people who work there, they get um, a dust in their breathing, and through that they get diseases, right? So it is very persistent problem in that area, right? Now, this breathing device was to kind of help them out in identifying if they have any lung issues in a very earlier stage. So we went there to kind of get that tested in a real life and see how it has been utilized and used, right? And when we went there, then we realized that identifying itself might not help them out, right? This might be a good to identify, but the other problem which they have is when they do that mining, there is nothing which is stopping them that just to come out in their mouth or in their system. Even our N95 corona mask that cannot stop the particles which they kind of come out through a dust. That itself particle is so small. So then we realized that it requires a different type of innovation also, as to somebody has to develop that kind of a mask which maybe they can wear it when they are getting into those mines or they are working offline, right? So that can help them out in a upfront. So far we were not able to kind of get any startup working on that one, but then when we went there, then we realized it's not a single issue, right, which you can solve in a one way, right? There is multiple agencies, and we work with a um, uh, primary health department there, and then we work out with the doctor so that we can any as soon as they get this breathing test done, the report can go to those doctors immediately on their emails, right? So that this patient cannot be going on, 10 miles from the primary care to the real hospital and then showing the report. At least they should know they can call on their remote doctor and say that, this patient has this, can you get him started on the medicine, right? So these problems are as you see, right, these are like complex problems, and it require a multiple people to come together and put together a solution, and multiple agencies to come in, right? And require a different kind of thinking. So when you are defining a problem statement and understanding a problem statement better, um, do it in a real life, meaning if it is a farmers, just you go in a certain place and talk to the farmers and understand it, right? What they are going through, what is the real issue, right? um, don't get started on a journey when you don't feel the problem by yourself, at least some part of it. Otherwise, what would be happening with most of the startup, right, which what happened is they build they build a solution and then they try to find out a customer for it, right? um, which should be like a reverse way, right? They should know the problem, and the problem would be actually your real consumers or a customers, right? Who are facing that, and then you build a solution around it or a company around it. Yeah. Any question? Why? Um, I'll move forward. So the importance of social innovation, right? So it addresses the complex challenges, right? The challenge cannot be simple, as I said, right? It would be multiple things involved. So always when you are getting into a social entrepreneurship or trying to solve a social problem, then always look at the multi-touch points, multiple areas, understand them. Maybe you might not be putting a solution to that one, but then can you work with somebody who is already putting a solution to that? And then as a whole, it can work in that arena, right? When you are building kind of uh, getting into a social entrepreneurship and a building a solution like she was talking about a farmers, right? Always when you go to the marginalized community, tier two or villages, and try to put together a solution, always think about empowering a community which is in a social sector definition, it calls agency model, meaning whatever you build, eventually you want to give that power, authority, um, how to run it, how to drive it back to the community so that community can own it and do it themselves, right? Then it's a real solution, right? So basically, you empower that community and let them own that piece because eventually you can do up to a limit. Eventually, it has to be adopted by community. It has to be run by community, right? And that is where basically empowering community comes in. Always think about sustainable way of um, developing something, right? If you are building something, and as a standard term goes, right, never build out something only for a valuation, right? Always look at the value part of it, what you are going to give back to the community, right? So always work on thinking that how the sustainability part will be working on this, right? How it would be working in the long run, right? What kind of a charges you are making? Is that sustainable in that geography or in that area, right? If it's a economically viable, right? If it is a rented one, how long you can go on a rent and then when you need to move on yourself, your thing, right? So the sustainable part have to be think through, right? Um, and then catalyzing positive change, right? It has to be any problem which you are trying to solve. There might be a multiple um, people attached to it. It might be you are solving it certain thing for a certain people in a certain geography, but then if you try to research more, then you might find out there are more or less similar set of problem in a different geography, which a larger audience. You might need to tweak your solution a little bit, and then it might fit into that, right? Because positive change has to go large, right? It cannot, you know, be at a one place and all, right? Um, Thinking guide for a social innovation, right? When you are um, working on the problem and the solution, especially in a social entrepreneurship, eventually it can go to the social innovation. You know, think beyond a traditional solution, right? As I said initially, right? You might not find a reference point of what you are trying to do, right? Because if there is something already exists, then first, why are you doing that, right? Second, are you are trying to do innovation? Are you trying to do something different in that? You are trying to put a lower price? Are you trying to do a better services? Are you trying to build altogether a new innovation onto that or solution? So, in any case, you need to think beyond traditional solution. If you try to think the same way, you might end up, getting the same answer back to you. No, it cannot be solved, right? Because these are the only thing which is available. These are the only way people take it, right? These are the only way it can be done. These are the limitations of the geography. This is the only thing which is goes to that particular geography, right? If you only look at what is possible options available and think around a solution to that, then you might end up doing a traditional thinking, right? And then you need to think beyond it, right? Can you develop something new which can change the behavior, which can altogether create a new service, right? Emphasize on a collaboration, right? Means, as I said, right, any social innovation, social entrepreneurship, it's the magic is a collaboration. More people take it, and more people come along, more people kind of start talking, take it as in their own thing, right? And then it become more sticky, and hence being adopted, more chances of getting adopted by people, right? And since it is multiple people, and then all those are stakeholders, and they are the important, um, you know, uh, audience or a stakeholder for your things to go far. So you need to understand every one of them's perspective. You need to see what are the challenges they are facing, what is how they are looking at the thing, and then try to kind of put that thing into your consideration, right? um, Prototype and test, right? Build small, fail fast, you know, fail earlier, and that's a keyword, right? Whatever you are doing, try to, you know, um, validate your things quickly. If you fail early, right? So that you can take a feedback, you know, build it another, and then again, iterative way. That's the best way to kind of move forward. If you take a longer time and you try to build something perfect, it might not fit. You lost the time, and then you lost the valuable insight also, right? So always make it an iterative, right? Prototype and test. Take a feedback, you know, work on it and move forward, right? Um, Feasibility and impact. Impact, I would be touching separate in further pages. Um, but some you know prompts are, you know, using a technology. Look, all of the difference between um, this program on Tech for Change, right, or any cohort or any social entrepreneurship which we are supporting. And I always say that it's not because I come from a tech background, but in your solutions, if you don't embed a technology as I started thinking from the scratch, right, from zero, when you start thinking about a solution, embed design thinking and a technology as a part of it, that will help you out in a long run, right? It should not be an afterthought, right? Um, like using technology to promote access education and skilling training for a marginalized community, right? Means um, that can give not only give you a scale, it can the innovation can be done there, and eventually it can help out a larger, bigger audience. So these are some of the prompts, right? When you are thinking and going to build your business plan, going to have further prototype your ideas. So these are some of the ideas, right? Way of prompts for, you know, thinking further. Now, talk about impact, right? Since it is a social entrepreneurship and the social innovation, you always have to be uh, conscious, diligent about the impact which you are going to create. Is there a question? Hi. So impact is a very key piece of when you are getting into social entrepreneurship or anything which is you are trying to see, you know, how would you you know, measure the impact? What are your indicators, right? How would you see that something what you are doing is kind of is going towards a success, or you are not seeing a success? When you define that success and the criteria, so matrices, indicators are very important, right? Let's say if you are building something for a child education in a particular district, right? And you want to see that how many students are basically studying, right? What kind of marks they are getting in each class, how they are in kind of that would tell you that how good your things are, right? How the reach is happening, right? How their marks are improving, right? So these are some of the metrics and indicator, right? In terms of engagement, you want to see that, you know, like Facebook and any other social media platform. They see that how much time you spend on particular thing, right? Because that's their success criteria. They wanted to show it to their investors and further people on the beneficiaries and all that people spend so much time on our platform, right? And they come onto it so frequently, right? So these are like some engagement and interaction, the community impact, your active contribution, active participation, contribution. All of those are like community level. So these are some of the things which is depending on the kind of solution and the problem which you have taken, and then the solution which you are building. While you are kind of designing and doing your initial thinking, keeping these matrices on the impact side would be a very key for down the line for you to realistically know how you are moving, or how far you have moved and where do you need to go next, right? So that's it. Um, I will kind of take a pause here. Any questions? Um, Anything you want to ask around it? If not, then I will be asking a certain question to certain set of people to just make sure that you were not sleeping and you were hearing.
Hi sir.
Hey, Sarthak.
Sir, आपने बीच में point बोला था ना that first of all we should identify a group of users or a group of people that are facing a certain problem, right? And then build a solution for them. And we should not build a solution and then find user base for it, right? But right now, I am stuck in the latter part because we are trying to build a solution, but we do not have a defined user base right now. Sir, do you have any tips that how can we overcome this?
What is your solution? Means what is your problem statement? What is it you are trying to
Our
say?
problem statement revolves around the improper management of plastic waste. Right now, plastic waste is not being managed in a proper way, right? There is no segregation at source and there is always littering around, and apart from that we have this overflowing garbage bins, and there's very this recycling plants are very informal for plastics, right? So
Yeah.
we know this problem exists, but we do not have a certain group of people that are directly affected by it, right? Like they do, most of the people do not care about, like, okay, this is a problem and it does not affect me, so why should I care about it? So this is the mindset right now. And that's what we've been facing. Like, how do we identify a group, or should we take another problem, or and try to uh, link both of these problem together. So like, for example, if there is an another problem a certain user base is facing, we can link that problem to our problem. Like, uh, that's what I'm trying to
Yes.
say.
Yeah. I think very interesting. I mean, you are very right thinking at this stage, right? When we were, and I can give you an example, and then that might help you out, right? In certain way. When we were looking at NRI community, right? It is across the globe, right? They had a problem of being in touch with a with a culture and a heritage, right? They have other problems also, right? They have same insurance issues. They wanted to buy certain properties. Those are also issues. Means we look at the different issues they have. We wanted to tap on that community, but then we realize that we cannot tap on every problem of theirs. Now, so then we narrow down it to, let's focus only on the language part, education part. Can we get into that community through education, right? Because education is like everybody's problem that time, right? So then we narrow down on that. Then we realize that I cannot uh, solve a problem of a university or the education which is graduation level, right? I cannot solve a problem of a very small kid also. So maybe I need to narrow down it to a certain geography, and certain set of population. So what we did is we said, okay, let's focus on the uh, only Texas parents, right? Only parents or the students who are going from fifth grade to eighth grade, right? And let's put together a solution around that, and let's only cater that, right? Then we realize that they are not the buyers. The buyers are the parents, right? So, how do we approach parents? Then we realize in a parents also, the fathers are going to the job. They might not having that understanding. Mostly, moms are basically a ruler of the house, and they are the one who decide कि ये बच्चे को कौन से ट्यूशन में जाना है, किसमें जाना चाहिए या नहीं जाना चाहिए. So then we realize कि उनको कन्विंस करना सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है, राइट? देन द पॉइंट केम टू बट पैसे तो whoever will be taking the financial responsibility. A good part in America is it's not like only father who is taking care of financial responsibility, when that still has to come in India, right? So there it depends on who is earning more, right? They will take a decision on कि कितना किस पे खर्च करना है. So it is largely combined, but since it's an Indian community, so it is if it is earning father, then they will decide. So basically, then we realize कि फाइनेंशियल डिसीजन वो लेंगे, बट कहाँ पढ़ाना है वो डिसीजन कोई और लेगा. So it become real more complex, right? Then we identified कि इनको टैप कहाँ करा जा सकता है, right? Now you are talking about a plastic, right? Plastic commercial use, plastic home use, and so you need to narrow down कि किस एरिना में वर्क करना है. If it is a home use and it is a certain geography, then you need to identify कि किसके थ्रू, कबाड़ी वाले के थ्रू अप्रोच करना है या एक अवेयरनेस का सेशन रखना है जो कि पेरेंट्स को बताए कि घर का प्लास्टिक कैसे यूज करना है, राइट? So that will help you out in narrowing down further and further, and then take a population and the problem statement where you can पुट टुगेदर योर अप्रोच कि इसी पे काम करेंगे पहले, उसके बाद स्केल करेंगे. कोई भी सॉल्यूशन छोटी सी जगह पे वर्क कर गया, उसके बाद खाली स्केलिंग रहता है, राइट? तो ऑलवेज ट्राई टू काइंड ऑफ सॉल्व इट फॉर अ सर्टेन पीपल एंड देन सी स्केलिंग बाद में करने का. पहले ही मतलब बड़ा वाला मास्टर प्लान मत बनाना कि मतलब दुनिया हिला दूंगा वाला टाइप.
Yes, sir. समझ गया. Definitely, sir. This makes sense. This makes so much sense now. That uh, break down your problem statement into smaller chunks, and yes, sir. Divide and conquer वाली theory आ जाएगी फिर.
राइट. जो जो पुराने दुकानदार होते थे ना, जो पुराने दादा लोग होते थे, उनसे अच्छा बिजनेस किसी को चलाना नहीं आता था, राइट? वो लोग जैसे मिठाई की दुकान वाला होता था, वो क्या करेगा कि एक छोटे से उसमें पहले मिठाई चखाएगा आपको, राइट? अरे सर आप खा के तो देखो, कोई बात नहीं, खा के देखो. आप खाओगे तो आप मतलब रिएक्शन तो दोगे ना. अगर आपने बोला खराब है, तो उसको पता लग गया, फीडबैक मिल गया लाइव यूजर से, राइट? एंड वो पीछे जाके हलवाई की वाट लगाने वाला और बोलने वाला है इसमें कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, इसे सही कर, राइट? द पॉइंट इज, उसके बाद अगर आपने बोला कि ये सही है, तो आपको भी पता लग गया कि यार इसके पास एक अच्छी मिठाई है, राइट? आप वहीं तक नहीं रुकोगे. आज नहीं तो कल खरीदोगे जरूर, उसके बाद चार जनों को बताओगे भी जरूर, राइट? And that's where he create his market, right? So and then that's where he identify कि कौन खरीदने आ रहा है. अगर वो ऐसी मिठाई है जो बहुत मीठी है, तो प्रॉब्ली 50 साल से ऊपर वाला आदमी उससे वैसे ही बचेगा. तो अब बचे बच्चे, तो बच्चों को खिलाओ, राइट? सो बेसिकली उनसे अच्छा मार्केटिंग और कॉन्सेप्ट को छोटा सा पकड़ना है और छोटा सा ही सॉल्यूशन देना है और छोटे से ही एरिना में ट्राई करना है. उसके बाद स्केल करने के लिए बहुत लोग आ जाएंगे तुम्हारे.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Yes.
Anybody else? नहीं, एग्जाम की टेंशन हमें भी नहीं हुई यार, कभी हम भी कॉलेज में रहेंगे.
Any questions, anyone?
ठीक, आज का हो गया डन सबका. All right. The reason why I was doing this social innovation and all, when you are building something right now, the trend is more, right now, the population and the new generation and the things are more aware, right? People are more aware. You guys are more aware, right? Nobody wanted to build something or wanted to work with the companies who are not socially aware, right? That's a consciousness and now everybody has, right? If until unless it's like ठीक है कुछ नहीं मिल रहा तो ले लेता हूँ वाला टाइप, या मैंने जो बनाया है मैं इससे मल्टी मिलियन डॉलर की कंपनी क्रिएट करूंगा, वो thought process is fine, but end of the day, if you would be wanted to sleep in a peace, you wanted to create something which can give you a happiness also, that it is at least some you have contributed in something to solve some social arena problem, right? And that's how the space is developing, entire space, right? Whoever is coming out with something which is socially conscious, some social problem, those companies, those ideas, those things are more well respected in a market, right? And in fact, investors is also coming out, right, who don't want it to only build company who have a solution built to make a money out of it. They understand, right, कि अगर social enterprise build होगी तो कुछ पैसा बनेगा, पैसा उतनी स्पीड से नहीं बनेगा, but impact create होगा. They only come for that, right? So um, better uh, get aware on this arena while you are building. उसके बाद it is your choice and how you are building and what you are trying to solve. But knowing more and more is far better for anything, right? To kind of take forward. हमारे the programs we are running from last 4 5 years, and some of the student startup started like you, they are running their company now, and we feel very proud. We try to help them out with other funds and other arenas and all, right? When we see that these guys are like literally trying to survive and trying to make it work, and some of them are really doing good, right? So having said that, um, good luck, and uh, good luck for your exam, and then be feel free to kind of reach out, send a message through Saurabh, or you can find out in a LinkedIn, and please share a feedback. That will help us out in improving.
Yeah. Thank you so
Uh,
much, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
all right,
Please.
Thank you, sir.
Saurabh. So thanks everyone. Talk to you and
Thank you,
hopefully meet
everyone.
you.
I hope this session would have been beneficial for you and would also help you answer the question that was there on the portal while you were completing your application, like on the like how your solution can impact the society. So it might help you in reframing that particular question and answer to whatever that you have answered so far. So yeah, looking forward to it, and would request you all to please share feedback as well. And next session we would be will be updated to you on the email. And I hope all of you must have completed with your second task, which was given to you in the last workshop on 28th. And yeah, so yeah, thank you everyone. All the best for your exams. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much, Vishal sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good night. See you guys. Bye.